You've caused a huge loss to the company. You won't avoid being fired.
I buggled an order and ended up causing a huge loss for the company. Firing me seemed inevitable. Even my section manager was pretty peeved. But to my surprise, he ended up saying,
You've made a big mistake, but it would be too pitiful to fire you. Go to the branch office and come back when things have cooled down.
I was relieved to say that at least, and I expressed my gratitude to him over and over. I accepted the demotion. After all, it seemed fair. I'm Jason. I started at this company about a decade ago, fresh out of college, and was placed in the sales department. Michael, my section manager, was the guy tasked with training me. He left a strong impression on me from the get-go, mainly because he had been rather harsh during my final interview. Still, when I saw him again on my first day, he had a smile on his face and said,
Sorry about the final interview. Someone has to play the bad guy and test your resolve. Since you were able to make it through the interview, you passed.
I was relieved, but boy, that didn't last long. When I started my job, I made it a point to arrive 30 minutes early, only to be greeted by Michael's harsh words.
Your voice is too quiet. Speak up. You're not cut out for sales.
He fired off at me. Then he added,
And you're late. Who do you think you are? Newcomers should be the first ones in and clean everyone's desks.
I was surprised and replied, Huh? You never mentioned that yesterday.
Don't talk back. It's common sense. If you don't know something, you should ask. You lack initiative, Jason. As punishment today, go buy me lunch.
What? Why? That only fueled his anger.
Are you an idiot? I just told you why. Can't you listen to your boss?
But why do I have to buy your lunch? My words seemed to make the situation worse as my coworkers watched in surprise. I spent my entire morning being reprimanded by Michael, seemingly unnoticed by my superiors. He finally stopped just before noon, handed me a flyer for a deluxe roast beef sandwich from a hotel, and sent me out to get his lunch. Of course, I had to foot the bill. As he enjoyed his meal, Michael said,
Jason, this is how you should use your juniors when you have them. For now, you're my errand boy. In return, I'll train you properly.
His behavior felt more like harassment than anything else. I lodged a complaint with the department head, but was brushed off.
Michael is an excellent trainer. You're just still in the mindset of a student.
Michael later found out and scolded me.
You're hopeless if you snitch on me. I misjudged you. I thought you would be more useful.
At some point, Michael confessed.
Being with you hurts my performance and I can't get new contracts. You stay in the office and make estimates.
And so, I was relegated to miscellaneous tasks for a time. I picked up how to create estimates and materials quickly, which seemed to quell Michael's outburst, giving me some respite. But then an incident shook things up. The materials department reported a large shipment of parts more than usual. Upon investigating the order forms and estimates, it was found out that I had mistakenly ordered parts in excess by 2 orders of magnitude. The department was up in arms and Michael was livid.
What the hell are you doing? You're still in a student mindset. That's the problem. Why didn't you check properly?
I'm sorry, it wasn't on purpose. I really am sorry. I was chastised by everyone, including the head and other employees, and I apologized over and over, still not entirely grasping why.
You've caused a huge loss to the company. You won't avoid being fired,
Michael warned, leaving me anticipating my termination. However, After much contemplation, Michael decided.
You've made a big mistake, but you're young. It would be too pitiful to fire you. Go to the branch office and come back when things have cooled down.
I thanked Michael and accepted my demotion to the branch office. After relocating to the branch office, the branch manager was confused.
No matter how you think about it, this doesn't make any sense. The story I heard is different. According to the HR department, you asked for the transfer, and it's strange that your trainer didn't check the documents.
The seasoned employees at the branch also shared.
It's just a wrong order, right? Machine parts don't spoil. Normally, you just apologize and return them. That's just a tale of a failure in the course of work.
They revealed that employees had caused significant damage before, costing the company a couple of $100,000, and that such losses were already factored into the company's budget for errors. The branch manager then posed a question that left me stunned.
Were you set up?
I didn't think much of it until he mentioned.
Actually, there are some dark rumors about the sales department at the head office.
So, fast forward 10 years, I had put my trauma behind me and was in a much better place. That's why I found myself back at the head office today. I was running late, so I rushed to the conference room, which happened to be nestled deep within the sales department. I was trying to zip through without bumping into Michael, but as luck would have it, just as I was thinking this, a door flew open and out came a man. We nearly crashed into each other.
Whoa, watch where you're going,
he barked at me. I quickly apologized, even though he was the one who had burst out without looking. But boy, was I miffed at his nerve to shout without so much as an apology. When I got a good look at him, I was taken aback. It was Michael, a bit more weathered than he was a decade ago, but still unmistakably him. He caught me off guard and asked,
Hey, are you the newbie who's supposed to start today?
It seemed he had mistaken me for a new hire. No, I started, but he cut me off.
What's wrong with you? Speak clearly, you're not fit for sales.
He had me startled and shrinking back. Some things never change. It was like being back in time 10 years ago. I pitied the unchanged Michael and gathered myself. I had come a long way in the past decade. I'm sorry. I was a bit startled. I tried introducing myself, but was cut off by Michael once again.
Well, if you've come to sales, things like this are a daily occurrences. Hey newbie, you're late. As a punishment, go buy lunch.
Old memories rushed back at his words. Lunch?
Go buy me a roast beef sandwich. I'll give you a flyer and you can get what's on it,
he ordered, turning back to his department. At that moment, Heidi, my secretary, emerged from the conference room next door. Michael was instantly taken by her. She's a stunner, an ex-model. He made a beeline for her, saying,
Which department are you from? I can't forget a beauty like you.
Heidi, who has no time for men who approach her because of her looks, brushed him off and addressed me.
Mr. Young, branch manager, I thought I heard something about buying lunch, but I've already brought everyone's sandwiches. I made sure to get the limited 10 servings of the deluxe roast beef sandwich.
She winked at me, knowing how much I wanted to try that sandwich when I used to run off errands for Michael. Michael was dumbfounded and stammered.
Huh? Branch manager? Aren't you the new hire starting today?
No, you're the one who's mistaken, Michael, I responded, keeping my cool. The color drained from Michael's face. Heidi gave him a cold stare. It dawned on me that he hadn't recognized me, his former subordinate. He fumbled.
I'm sorry for the misunderstanding.
The sales director popped his head out from the room and questioned Michael. What on earth are you doing, Michael? We heard you from inside. Did you tell the branch manager to buy lunch? The HR director, company president, and the sales director followed Heidi out of the room.
Oh, branch manager, you're not an outsider? What a scare!
Michael was relieved to learn I was the branch manager. But it wasn't just me who was put off by his attitude. Heidi was already on the offensive. What's with the attitude? Don't you think it's okay to be disrespectful because he's from the branch? You're making him go buy lunch? Before I could get a word in, Heidi, already irate, stepped in to confront Michael. The president and managing director of the headquarters sighed as if saying, "Oh dear." Michael had clearly overstepped.
Well, I just meant it's better than upsetting an external president.
But it's unacceptable for anyone to be so rude in the first place. What do you think, sales director? Heidi asked the sales director, who said something like, "Oh, well, Michael is just an old school, hot-blooded type of guy," trying to defend Michael. But he stopped as a cold stare bore into him. But it was too much even for this day and age. Mr. Young, I'm truly sorry." He apologized. "This is the worst I imagined," the president muttered, and sales director rushed to correct Michael. "Michael, you should apologize to branch manager again."
I am very sorry.
Michael reluctantly apologized. Heidi whispered to me, "He's not remorseful at all. It would be better if he didn't apologize." I chuckled wryly. The managing director nearby seemed to heard and blurted out, laughing, apologizing for his rudeness. Even after realizing I was the branch manager, Michael still had his attitude. I wondered how he would react if he found out I was the subordinate he had tricked in the past. "Michael, section manager, I know it's been 10 years, but do you remember who I am? I'm Jason Young, the poor new grad who was tricked by the wrong order." When I revealed that I knew my identity and about the wrong order, Michael stared at me.
I've been a section chief since last year. What, Jason? The new grad from back then? No way! You look completely different.
"That's because I've slimmed down and gotten healthier," I answered matter-of-factly. When I was a new employee, I was a little chubby and pale. I had been idling away at home, eating snacks and playing games since I got a job. Now I'm tan because I go out on site and help out, and my body has toned up. For Michael, the promotion seemed so important that he immediately corrected his title. "I guess it's a big deal to you because it took you 10 years to get promoted to section chief," I muttered, and Michael yelled,
Shut up! Why are you the branch manager? And don't call me Michael. Call me section chief.
I stuck out my tongue in the middle at his continued obsession with his title. "In a way, I might owe it to you. I completely lost my student mentality after that wrong order incident. Since the trauma of the wrong order, I started checking documents many times. I didn't neglect to contact and confirm with my boss frequently, and I made sure to write down work schedules and instructions in my planner and adjust so they could be completed 3 days before the deadline. I also paid attention to interpersonal relationships. I was said to make the team run smoothly when I joined. Under understanding superiors, I grew and improved my sales performance. The result is my current position. Michael, as I mentioned earlier, I already know that you added zeros in that wrong order incident."
Huh? What? Is there evidence?
"We were just talking about it," Heidi said, thrusting a copy of the order form at the time towards Michael. "The original storage period is 5 years, but the branch manager at that time contacted the headquarters and had a copy sent and stored. At that same time, past order forms written by Michael were also requested. Heidi placed the two order forms side by side.
Look at this handwritten part. Mr. Young starts writing zeros from the top, but only the last two digits are written from the bottom, right?
She pointed out. I was too upset to notice at the time, but indeed it was different from my handwriting. The fact that I was strict was already known and had been reported to the HR department and the president right after moving to the branch. The branch manager at that time asked me,
"Do you want to hold Michael accountable to go back to the headquarters?"
I declined, saying I didn't want to go back to the headquarters where Michael was, and I wanted to forget about the incident. The reason you couldn't get promoted easily is because the HR department knew about what you did to me, and it negatively impacted your performance evaluation.
"So it's your fault?"
Michael trembled with anger. Seeing this, I grinned. By the way, Michael, why did you do such a thing? I had a rough guess, but asked him anyway.
"Obviously because you were annoying. The girls keep buzzing about a new grad who looked like he would be handsome if he lost some weight.
So he wanted to send me to the branch office because of this.
Such a pointless reason. This is just ridiculous,"
Heidi said sharply, and both the president and managing director grimaced. Only the sales director seemed to want to say something. I was disappointed to learn that Michael had tried to harass and trap me for such a reason. But that's not the only reason, right? When I asked, Michael looked at the sales director as if asking for help. The sales director tightly closed his eyes and shook his head slightly. So you're even abandoned by the sales director. You went too far, Michael. I laughed. What I had heard from the branch manager at the time were dark rumors about the headquarters sales department. The sales department had a higher turnout rate. In order to lower the turnout rate, a secret strategy in the sales department was apparently to sacrifice one person and instruct them thoroughly. That year, it seemed I was that person. They wanted to encourage the new recruits around me by making them think they were better off than me. Senior employees didn't need to help. The sales director had reportedly said they could use me as a punching bag to relieve stress. The presidents were speechless at the terrible action of the sales department.
"It's past the statute of limitations now,"
Michael blustered. I stopped Heidi as she was about to complain. Actually, Michael, multiple people have appealed to me to make you quit, and the president is planning to improve the nature of the sales department. That's why I decided to testify about what happened at the time. You two can't escape punishment, I said, looking at the president. The president nodded vigorously. Mr. Young, I'm truly sorry. I didn't realize that our headquarters sales department was this corrupt. Sales director and Michael will both be held accountable.
"But I did what the director told me to do."
At the president's words, Michael fell to his knees weakly, and the sales director hung his head with a pale face. Afterwards, the president and managing director apologized to me again, saying they were truly sorry. I asked him to reform the organization so that there would be no more victims like me and returned to the branch. In the end, Michael was dismissed and the sales director faced heavy penalties. I felt that my years of suffering had finally been rewarded. By the way, the expensive roast beef sandwich I ate afterwards was really delicious.